All right, the purpose of today's stuff, guys, is mean, median, and mode. You've seen it since grade 5 in different formats. We start off with mode and median, and we move on to mean by the time you hit grade 6. In front of you is a data set. Simple ways to do mean, median, and mode involves a stem and leaf plot to start off for organizing the numbers. Here's how stem and leaf plot works, just as a quick review. Kind of looks like a T-chart. The stem here, in this case, is our tens values because the numbers up above all range from our lowest seems to be 43. Our top number seems to be about 93. So our stem represents the tens. Our leaves represent the ones. I'm going to pause the video to save a little time, and I'll create the stem and leaf plot. Go ahead and create it now and see if yours ends up being similar to mine. So there's the stem, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, taken from all the tens values. We'll go through and we'll do the ones. I'll give you a quick start. So when I do this stuff, I just cross it out with one line going in one direction. So I'll go that way. Cross off the 47, put a comma. I'm done on the 4. So this is how this is read. 43, 47. So the numbers are just split. Stem and leaf charts make it easy to spot the mode, the most popular number. They also make it kind of easy to figure out the median, and I'll show you how. All right, so I've gone ahead, created the stem and leaf plot. Yours should look similar to this. We'll go through and we'll calculate what we call the measures of central tendency. Up in the title, I forgot one. There's another one called the range, and we'll go through what it is. All right, we'll start off with the easiest one, the mode. Mode represents the most common number. So most common number. In this case, our mode is the one that appears twice, and there's only 2 of them. 63. So the mode in this case is 63. If 2 numbers share the same amount of times, like say there was 2 that were 63 and 64, then there is no mode. All right. It depends. Some textbooks will say that both of them would share it. In my case, if there is no one winner, then the rest, they're all the same value. All right, next is the next easiest, range. And there's 2 ways to do range. We start from the absolute lowest number and go to the absolute highest number. So the range, the lowest to the highest. So for this first method of doing the range for this particular set of values is 43 to 93. The second way of doing range is when we take the highest and we calculate the spread by taking the highest and subtracting the lowest. So the spread of values is 93, take away 43, so we have a spread of 50, all right, in total. So those are the 2 ways you can do the range. You can either go, in most questions I'll ask you to provide both. So you go the lowest to the highest, and then you can take the highest number, subtract the lowest, so you get the spread. The next one we'll calculate is the median. The median is the absolute middle value. So the absolute, it helps if you spell absolute right, middle value. So when we calculate the absolute middle value, we calculate the number of values and divide by 2. So in this case, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 values. Take 16, divide by 2. The 8th value is our middle value. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So in this case, our middle value, needs to be the, I messed up. So in this case, because we have an even set of values, it has to be the value in between the 8th and 9th value. So I messed up on this one. So in between the 8th and 9th value, because it has to have an equal number of places on either side of it. So if we go through and calculate by crossing out, going like that, like that, like that, like that, like that, like that. That's why I like stem and leaf plots. It helps for doing this stuff. And we keep going backwards. We end up in between 66 and 72. So when you have odd numbers, it's actually in between the half value and the one just above it. So you can go through and calculate this. So we figured out 66 plus 72, we divide by 2. In this case, I'm going to pause it and get the calculator out. So when we have an even set of numbers, we have to find in between their absolute middle value and the one right above it, which was 66 and 72, add the two together, 138, and then we divide by 2. So the absolute value was 69. We're going to go ahead and calculate the mean, apologize for that, the mean, the last measure of central tendency, the mean. So when we add all the numbers up, and we divide by the number of numbers. So essentially you can represent it like this. Take the first value of the range, which was 43, do plus ... and then take the last number, 93. You don't have to write them all out, but you will have to add them all up. And then we divide by the number of numbers, which was in this case 16. So you have to write the total, show me this one step, and then get me the actual mean. I'll pause this, use a calculator, and put it on the video. All right, I added these guys up, and it came out to 1,113. My advice to you when doing this stuff is add them twice, get the total once, then make sure you can get the total twice, because your numbers are all going to be double or triple digits, and you're going to have about 10 to 20 of them when you have to do stuff like this. So add them up twice, make sure you get the same answer. And it divides out to 69.56. And since I didn't give units, leave it there. 563. The median and the mean in this case were very close to one another. They don't always have to be. It's possible to have the absolute middle value be much higher or much lower than the actual average. It just depends. In this case, when you're doing these questions, you can easily ascribe numbers like this to a word problem where these could be percents on tests, that sort of thing. And applying it. So when you see the words measures of central tendency, we're talking about mean, median, mode, and range. The next value is simply going to, the next video is simply going to show you how we could sub in unknowns, mainly with the median or the mean, which is a big hint for this week's problem of the week.